What is going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil. Yeah, I mean, they just go together. And of course, my co-host, GameTime Bryan. GameTime, how's it going, man?
Primetime Phil, what's going on, man? How is everybody? I'm doing good, man. Nice, beautiful day here in South Jersey. Enjoying the weather. I was off all week. How you doing, man?
Good. It's the rainy season right now. Right before this broadcast, right around 6, we're just pouring here, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is how it's gonna be every single time that we go to do this. But it's calmed down, and honestly, I kind of want that same thing with the with some of this rival talk. I just want something to calm down, because obviously we haven't even hit training camp. We don't even know how the rosters are going to look by the end of the month. I don't even end of 2 months. We still got quite a while. I mean, we've had quite a bit of Cowboy news in the offseason. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of Cowboy news in the offseason compared to previous years. We're talking about different things than we have in previous years, and I got to give the Cowboys front office a little bit of credit on that. Or we don't like to give them credit to too many things. I got to give them credit in the sense that there are things that we used to worry about 4 or 5 years ago when we're talking maybe safeties. We're talking, just in the sense of getting, not going wide receiver by committee. There's a lot of things that has been addressed. The defensive line is something that I'm a little bit more proud of, compared to the offensive line was our big thing back in those days. So there's a lot of things within the Cowboys that have changed, and I think the things that haven't changed is a guy like Will McClay and the input that he brings in to bring these guys in personnel. So, I mean, I like the fact that the Cowboys have been able to change some of the negative and sprinkle in some of those positive stuff under Mike McCarthy. So, hell of an offseason. So, of course, early in the chat, we had
to Space Cowboy Media. Space Cowboy was in the crib this afternoon, or this morning, I should say. He was here bright and early, helping me out with my behind-the-scenes OBS stuff. Space,
I've been there.
Thank you.
I got to give you credit,
so
man.
much.
It's a lot of patience with Bryan.
Here we go. Here we go.
So I had to give you credit, man. The fact that you still came to the chat even afterwards. So,
dude,
I appreciate that, man.
Shout out to Space Cowboy Media hitting the 12K mark subscriber.
Look at Eastside.
Mark on YouTube. You guys, if you're not subscribed to Space Cowboy Media, please go do so. He brings the knowledge.
Blue Virus.
Behind the camera and in front of the camera. So thank you so much. East Coast. East Side's in the house. East Side Harold. What up, man?
Yeah.
What's going on? How you feel about your squad, man?
Of course, we have Twiz in here talking a lot, talking about the quadruple. Hey man, it's not the trio. Takeaway. So I was like, is that a Dak? Is that a Dak shot? I think that is. But of course, Mike Aldana is in the house. Blue Virus is making an appearance in here, and of course, you were talking about Eastside Herald. It's the beginning of the season. So you'll see Eastside a little bit more. You're hoping by Christmas he's not too depressed, so you'll still see him and everything.
Wallace,
but no, we're messing with you, man. You're always welcome, and you should probably be a little bit better about your team. Not going to jump to contention type of stuff, but hey, your team is improving, and you're kind of can get past the Watson debacle, I guess.
Listen, I'm hearing that quarterback that the Texans got is looking really good. So we shall see.
Derek Wallace.
This is the season of hope. In reality, there's probably 6-8 teams that could win it all. But with this new wild card, it really does open up more for different teams. And, I had made a comment to Phil, and you guys have probably heard it. It would be nice to win the division, but I'm more concerned with being healthy, getting in, and playing our best ball as the playoffs start. That's more important than getting out to a big lead, than tailing off and resting guys. You know what I mean? I just want to be in a situation where we got to play, we stay healthy, and we're rolling into the playoffs. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I'm all about
East Side. You got a shot right now, man. You got a shot.
And I'm all about dominating and going into the playoff as a dominating force. So, I'm on board on that side. Yeah, Bryan wasn't wishing that. So that was the undercoating of Bryan's stuff. He wants to suffer and he wants a lot to stress about. And he's looking forward to this upcoming season. So Bryan, one thing that we saw this past week. Dak was obviously doing some charity type of thing, his camps, and you mentioned that there's in his, we're just talking about obviously what they're talking about. We're not bringing it up ourselves in that sense of what we're wishing and hoping, and we what we want every single year, but Dak with the whole Super Bowl talk, it's been a lot more. He's usually been really good about just kind of staying hush and not putting his foot in his mouth and expectations. Hey, we're going to do things. We're going to be awesome. But this is, to me, the first off season where I've seen him talk a lot about it. You mentioned that he, coming into the season, going to be turning 30. And, there's kind of an awakening. You don't know how many years you really, truly have left as an NFL. You don't know if you're going to be one of those quarterbacks that Warren Moon-ish, Tom Brady-ish, where you're going in your 40s. You definitely don't know what the future holds. So, of course, him hitting his 30s, there's a lot more expectations. Now, let me ask you a question, because this one's a big one to me. Do you think this year, going into this year, Dak is set up the most that he's ever been as the Cowboys quarterback?
Set up? No. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he's set up the most as he's been. You got to realize we have a new Texas Coast offense, okay? New offensive coordinator, new number 2 receiver.
Zimmerman.
Yeah. No Zeke. Philadelphia, welcome to the show, my man. Welcome to the show. Yeah, so there's a lot on Dak's plate. Stacy, what's up? How you doing, Stacy?
Hey, what's going on,
Stacy?
Stacy?
There's a lot on Dak's plate, and I did see an article today, and I mentioned it to you since you brought up Dak. Dak is actually feeling the pressure a little bit. Not so much the pressure, but he's getting ready to turn 30, and the time is now for Dak Prescott. Dak is feeling the need to win the Super Bowl. Not that he don't want to always win it, but when you turn 30, it's like one of those, mile markers. You hit that marker and you're 30 years old, man. You know how it works. Now, your quarterbacks can play well. You know that you can play for as long as basically you can stay healthy and you're productive. But he's feeling the need to win. So there's a lot of question marks going into the season. I think they're not going to change the offense nearly as much as people think. And I think we're going to be good to go, Phil. I think it's going to be a little bit rough early on, scoring points, just getting on the same page. But listen, it needed to be done, correct?
I would agree. I can see that as well. I know you can have your hey, you're going into this offense and you're not going to get a whole lot of playing time within the preseason to see how you are. Now the fact that these wide receivers and Dak are throwing in the offseason quite a bit, I like that. So hopefully that will kind of counter anything that you're not doing in the preseason. And so by the time you're in that, I've seen in the past and I've liked how Dak has come out in game ones. Of course the thumb thing happened, and that was kind of like one of those things that kind of just threw off for a whole time last year. And of course Cooper Rush came in there and he did his backup thing, and that's made controversy. I remember Jerry Jones talking about it right in the beginning of it when it all happened, was just like, oh, I want him to be able to get controversy. And people were like, what are you talking about? And then by the week 5, there was controversy. There were literally a lot of people talking about how Cooper Rush should be the starter, and I don't blame them with the ammo that they have. I mean, you saw a nice body of work. But you and I both know that it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same attacking offense. You didn't feel like every single play that you were going to actually score. You kind of felt more, I hope we don't turn the ball over. I hope he doesn't make a mistake here, because you don't know. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. So seeing how Dak has come out in the past, I definitely feel confident that he's going to come out and definitely do his thing. I just wonder, of course, we've talked about it, the offensive line, the running backs, are they going to be able to support him?
Yeah, and I'm hearing more and more about them going out and getting the ex-Cleveland running back. I don't know
Hunt.
where this stuff comes from, Phil. I think, Dak doesn't need a new running back right now. That's not what's holding Dak back. Dak needs to get a grasp of this these new play concepts. But like I outlined earlier in our previous live streams, it's more going to be in the running game. They're still going to keep a lot of the two-way goes, the option routes. Obviously, they need to be on the same page and no offense, East Side, but not relying on Noah Brown on a huge third down every play. And you'll have a guy like Brandon Cooks and hopefully a better Michael Gallup. And, oh, by the way, a Jalen Tolbert, who's hopefully ready to step on the scene and introduce himself. I think Dak is going to be fine, man. Phil, Dak. He's a hard blue collar working guy. He will know everything there is to know about this offense. It's just about putting the work in.
Yeah.
So expect to see a lot of work in the preseason. And Philadelphia is in the house. He's quoting me. Dak Prescott, his 8-3 record is all garbage time stats. Here's why. 2017, Dak Prescott beat Eagles backups. Listen, Philadelphia, I'm not going to disagree that he didn't beat the backups. And listen, all I know is when he played when Jalen was playing. Yeah, that's all.
And when Wentz was playing, I mean, they were betting their future on that one.
Again, we get caught up in Dak versus Jalen. We're on record to say Jalen is a very talented guy. But I will tell you that there's way more pressure on Jalen Hurts this year than Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's already getting shit on by the media. Not so much because he really needs to be shit on. It's because it's clickbait. Talk negative on the Cowboys, you get all of us riled up. And but the fact of the matter is they're both great quarterbacks. Now, we could discuss whether who can win a Super Bowl and who can't. Well, the bottom line is either one of them has won one as of this date. So we really, if you lose the big game again, in the words of Billy Bean, if you lose the last game of the year, nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares. I mean, we could look into, he went down Jalen and got them the lead, yada yada. I know. So then what? Your defense stinks because you gave up another 40-burger in a big game. I'm not saying they do stink. I'm just throwing out. It's a team game. I've been, Phil's probably tired of hearing it. Team game.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I look at Jalen, I mean, I have to, again, I give him credit, and I gave him credit during the year of what he was doing. What the offense was doing was adapting to what he did best, which was a lot of running. But we all know the running can catch up to you after a while. Don't wish it upon anybody, but we see it on many running quarterbacks. That's why when we have Dak, and I love to see him run and everything, I'm not too, I like quarterbacks that run to throw it downfield. You got Mahomes, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got these type of guys, even sometimes Wilson, they move around back there so they can throw it downfield, and that's what I like to see, and you're gonna have a longer career if you do that. The offensive line that the Eagles have was just you can't deny that it's a really amazing offensive line. So they took advantage of that, and they did a lot of quarterback sneaks. And with that, they talk about how the Eagles. Well, Jalen Hurts had the most rushing touchdowns as a quarterback, and yeah, I expect that as well. I mean, who was your running back? Basically, Jalen Hurts. Our running backs did great too. And they got hurt as well. Like your running back just got hurt as well. But we're paying running back money, while your running back, you're paying quarterback money. So it's going to eventually catch up to you. But again, if you can keep to adapt that offense to what he is doing, and you can't expect him to be blowing 400, 500-yard passing games. That's just not his style. So the shootouts, those are where you can worry about Jalen a little bit, is because you can only do so much on the ground. When you go against guys like Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna have to score a lot of points. Are they a score a lot of type of points type of offense? We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see if they adapt with the new offensive style. And of course, that defense, there's a lot of holes. Everybody wants to put them on the same pedestal as they were, But there's a lot of holes that has happened, and there's a lot of young guys that are going to have to fill those holes. So I'm interested to see what they do because they got a good roster. They do.
Blue Virus says if they went out and got Kareem Hunt, I would not be mad. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad,
What's up,
Virus,
Libra?
but I just don't think it's a point of need right now. Ultra Cowboy, welcome to the show. I'm not sure that Phil has figured that out. He says, I will not criticize Dak in the regular season. If Dak has another playoff stinker, Cowboys need to draft a QB in the first round.
And that's the thing.
I can't
he's
disagree
true.
with
It's very
that,
true.
Phil.
Yeah,
I
very
can't.
true.
You can only... Dak's, 2-4 in the playoffs?
Dak kind of reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs back in like the 90s. Amazing. 13-3 records and 14-2, and and then when they got into the playoffs, wasn't that. Now, I don't look at it as, it's been Dak's fault. And no, man, the times we shouldn't have been in there because the defense just was not good, and he needed to constantly pass, and and then you have the running game that they're trying to complement it. But he's had some success when he's had some people around him. We all know that defense wins championships, and this is the first time that you're looking at this defense going, wow, man, this is a really stacked defense. Now, whether they'll be able to do stuff, that's different. It's always different on paper. You can be the champion defense on paper until you see everybody actually doing their thing. Now, if we had another defensive coordinator, I'd be a little bit worried. But with a Dan Quinn, I'm very happy with the roster that he's put together.
Exactly. Ultra Cowboy says Jalen is not a great QB. And we got Philadelphia. So basically, we own playoffs, and Dak owns Eagles backups. Eagles are playoff contenders, and Cowboys are regular season stat pretenders. I think Dallas just showing back-to-back at 12-win years. They're a very consistent regular season team. Yes, they need to have more of an extended run in the playoffs. Prior to this year, Philadelphia, Jalen's, he did all of his damage in 1 year, and that's great. And I'm on record to say he's a very, very good quarterback. I think the future is bright, with Jalen Hurts, but with that contract, now you just can't. Now you need the stats, you need the wins, you need everything. Now,
they got the next 2 years. The way that it's stacked, they got another 2 years, basically this year, next year.
I would say
to kind of do their thing.
Now, I'm not saying that the run is over.
No,
but you're going to lose Kelsey maybe after this year. I think like any team, that's the funny thing. Like any team, any good team, Phil, you go as far as your offensive and defensive lines take you. That's the bottom line. Right now, the Eagles are stacked on the offensive line, and they're very good on the defensive line. So I'm going to not say stacked because they got a lot of real young guys who have yet to prove themselves. I keep hearing, and we'll get to it, but I keep hearing how the Eagles' defense is so much better than Dallas's. The numbers don't show it, and I think this year you'll see why Dallas is a better defense. But that's something that we could debate going forward.
Yeah, Philadelphia, you're right, man. And a lot of it's because you can spend the money on defense. Kind of like what your guys did. Howie kind of did his thing last year where he picked up a lot of guys in the offseason because the draft. You guys have a problem with drafting. So, eventually that stacked number was going to come for the quarterback. Can you sign those guys in the offseason? Not as much. So you really need to start hitting on your draft picks. And you guys have had to, as the fan base, your draft picks have been great. But that's, how much of our fan base really, when it comes down to it, it's kind of like those Mel Kiper and all those guys. They do this thing year in and year out, and they are professionals, and they don't even get it right. So we look at their college tape, we see it. So we as fans like the Jordan Davis pick, but when you really look at him, he's kind of like the whole Mozzie, where can Mozzie do the pass rushing because he was never asked of that in college. So now you're going to ask that of him, but you know that he can stop the run. So there's definitely in there. But one thing I wanted to transition as you were talking about it, is you're only as good as your offensive line, and you're definitely only as good as your defensive line. Now the defensive line is going to look a little different, I think, this year. You have people coming back, but you got people getting more weight and onto him. And speaking of the main guy putting on weight, Parsons putting on more weight to get because I always thought as a defensive end, he was a little bit undersized, but so the fact that he was just manhandling people and getting around people was kind of surprising. So I really wanted to see him at his new weight. What's he going to be able to do? And all the power that's going to come with it. But a defensive line is looking different. What do you think about Parsons and his weight? How do you think it's going to affect him? performance-wise, and do you think his numbers for the sacks are going to go up?
I think Parsons needed to put on the extra weight because the durability issue, the one thing on Parsons is he hasn't missed games, but he's had to, he's gotten banged up both years. Playing the edge rusher, going up against those behemoths of the NFL, offensive linemen, it takes a toll on your body. He needed to do that to help him stay durable. So I'm fine with it. They're monitoring how his speed is compared to putting on the extra pounds. He's not putting on 20 pounds. We're talking an extra 10, 15 pounds of muscle. He was already a little on the light side to be an edge rusher. So I'm fine with it as long as his speed's not being compromised. Space Cowboy, he does come to the defense of the Eagles. Dak Prescott. He says, should the Bills have to draft another QB because Josh Allen can't get the Super Bowl? And I would agree with that.
And that's where I link Philadelphia's comment where he's talking about, we got 2 quarterbacks in the Super Bowls, and hang it. You got all your ammo right now on these 2 Super Bowls. That's why a lot of your fan base was, since 2000 or 2010, and you want to cut it off, and it's just like Super Bowl errors. And so we haven't wasted time on Dak. Is that the front office hasn't supported Dak enough? So that's where you're seeing a lot of the negativity. Now, whether Dak is a great quarterback, he's definitely been better than a lot of our quarterbacks that we've had in the past. So we haven't had to waste time looking for other quarterbacks. We've had to waste time looking for wide receivers and defensive secondary guys that haven't been there. You're not attacking Anthony Brown anymore. So there's a lot of that stuff that's changing. But again, the defensive line is where we're talking about Mozzie Smith, of course. That's going to be interesting to me. How much of an impact is he going to make? We haven't drafted the first-round draft
pick.
He's
a rookie.
Yeah, you shouldn't expect a whole lot, but he's going to need to do stuff.
He's going to help stop the run.
Yeah.
Because, Hankins couldn't be on the field the whole time. So you're going to have another body, Just think of our goal line defense, okay? You're going to have Hankins and Mozzie Smith. Okay, good luck running up the middle. Okay, you know what I mean? That's where it's just another piece. Hankins is an older guy, more of a situational guy. Mozzie is more of an every down guy, but he probably won't be on too many first downs, which is fine. That's the way the NFL is these days.
Well, that's where you got Osa, and you got these different guys for different situations.
Yeah, Osa is for real, and my guy. Help me out. What's his name? The real tall guy. I don't have Dallas's roster on me, but yeah.
The defensive tackle? Golston?
Yes.
I'm not so.
Golston. Sean C. Golston. Yeah, that's my guy, man. He's really coming on.
You got Bohanna.
Cowboys have a loaded roster. There are no excuses this year.
And that's true. Listen, that's true. Even with some injuries, you're going to have some depth, and that's, obviously injuries do take place.
Don't expect them to go out and win 14 games. They have a new offense they're implementing, a lot of new pieces. That's why I keep saying I'm not so much worried about the record as opposed to getting in. I think it's gonna be a replay of last year, Phil, where I think the Eagles are gonna get out early based on schedule. I'm hoping not, but I think that's the way it's gonna be. But ultimately, it's not gonna matter. It's gonna be the team who's healthy going into the playoffs. I don't know where you're at on your bubbles, Phil, but I'm just going over the chat here.
No, go ahead. Bring them up.
We are getting stacked on D, but we need Mozzie to push up the middle, and that goes to your point, Phil. We need every week for our D tackle to push. Glimmerman. Listen, and Glimmerman, I told Phil, I'm more concerned about now with the addition of Mozzie. I'm more concerned about because our one issue on defense was teams were able to run to the edges at times. So I'm a little worried about that. D-Law, because they interviewed the Eagles right tackle, and they said, who's rate your top 5 defensive edge rushers, like your pass rushers. Mm-hmm. And Micah and D-Law were in his top 5. And that was basically because his ability to rush the passer and stop the run. But Sam Williams, Micah, sometimes you saw how the Eagles played Micah. They kind of used and abused him a little bit at times. Faking him out, being undisciplined. You have to be disciplined when whoever's playing those edges. So that's where I think we could be vulnerable on the defense.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump on Philadelphia's here. He goes, y'all Cowboy fans, you got no real deep playoff credentials. Wants to bring up the same stuff because he has a little,
Well, either do you up until last year.
Hey man, you're starting
me at the end of the year.
Your starting quarterbacks can't win Super Bowls, so but my backup can. Well, congratulations.
Okay, either can yours.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean,
there's so many things when you talk about stats. There's so many things that could rip your quarterback and your offense.
And I don't want to because I like him.
But here's the thing: is Philadelphia, that if Dak is lined up on the other side, there's a part of you that knows he has the possibility of tearing your defense apart. You can't deny that. The stats are there. You don't want to read those stats, but you want to go past and read these particular stats over here. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is a guy you fear. Don't pretend that you don't fear him. CeeDee Lamb there. Brandon Cooks being added to it. You got Michael Gallup. You got these rookies that are they do need, I wouldn't say rookies, but these second, third year guys, Simi Fehoko, Jalen Tolbert. These guys need to prove themselves. You got Jake Ferguson. You have a hell of a Luke Schoonmaker, whatever you want to call him, if he's going to be something. There's a lot of potential there. Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn. There's a lot of weapons. So
tell you, Phil,
to say that you're not fearing him of any kind, that's not right. You know that.
I gotta tell you, look, when I hear Philadelphia say stuff like that, it's so frustrating because I'm going to say it again, Philadelphia. Going into last year, Jalen had none of that. Okay, so it's like he did it all in 1 year, and oh, by the way, that was the year that they went out and got AJ Brown. We all are,
and they got AJ Brown. They got some good wide receivers, but
I was telling Phil prior to the broadcast, so we're getting to a point where we can't just keep bringing up the same stuff. But when it comes up in a chat, I can address it again. This time last year, before the season, they had a deal in place for Russell Wilson because they were not sold on Jalen Hurts. Russell said he didn't want to play for Philly. That's a fact. That's public record. That's not me being mean. Listen, Jalen went out and did what he did. Why? Because he had a great team around him and he thrived like he needed to do, and he stepped up and did it. So to say Dak stinks, has no playoff record. He can't win in the playoffs. Dak's got 2 playoff wins, the same amount as Jalen. Jalen got his 2. If anything, I don't know, Phil. If anything, you'd give Dak more credit because he's done it.
Yeah,
it's spaced out over a couple of years. Whereas Jalen was on a hot team going in, went wire to wire. His team was leading the division the whole year, basically. And because they had a real easy schedule. But hey, you can't make your schedule, right, Phil? Whatever you play who's on your schedule. Mm-hmm. So it's just frustrating when Philadelphia says stuff like that because he knows better that going into last year, Howie the Messiah Roseman was not sold on Jalen Hurts. It all came together for him. Now, the NFL each year is a different year amongst themselves. There's not a lot of carryover. Especially when you lose 7 guys on defense, you lose your offensive coordinator, and you lose your defensive coordinator. All right? When you go through a year like that, we shall see. You better get off to a good start, Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. You better get off to a 5-0 start. Because if not, watch out.
So when we're talking about this defensive line that we've been talking about, getting pressure. One of the teams that come into mind, I'm not going to go into championship teams. I'm going to go into more recent history. There was a Carolina Panthers team, for example, that had a lot on the defensive line. So you had guys like Josh Norman within their secondary being able to capitalize a lot on that defensive front, the pressure, being able to stop some of the run. And that's where you're hoping that these guys like Monty Smith, Hankins can kind of team up and help that running game. So, for example, our defensive ends can get upfield and worry about doing those sacks numbers like they were last year until the running game became a concern. Now, when you look at that, of course, getting that kind of pressure, take away the pressure. Just take away the pressure in general. This secondary that we have, definitely different than last couple of years. I mean, if we look past 2 years, they put a safety room together that we're very proud of. There are some people that you've seen on those Cowboy channels that are not very high on Malik Hooker. I can see why. His body of work's kind of fluctuated up and down, and so I totally get it. But when you look at a safety room as talented as this, you can understand why a guy like Malik Hooker can look like the bottom of the barrel, because you got a really good safety roster there. So there's a lot of supporting there. I think the coverage is where they kind of lack, because these guys are hitters or linebackers. You got Overshown that's going to be thrown into that mix most likely.
Overshown's going to be the Dak spy, the Jalen spy. That's what. Good luck.
So when you take away that pressure in general, how do you feel going into this year compared to last year? Of course, last year, who was our starters? I mean, we had Diggs, of course, on one side. Anthony Brown was the guy that everybody just kind of targeted, and you don't blame them but we knew that was a weakness. Who was your number 3? Jordan Lewis. This year definitely looks a lot different. What are you feeling?
Different. I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
We're going into the year with Jordan Lewis as our 4th.
Mark Hutchinson, what's up, man?
We're going into the year with Diggs, who's an interception machine. The Bland, who came on the scene last year and had 5 interceptions in 10 games as a rookie. Another guy, ball hawk. And oh, by the way, we went out and got Stephon Gilmore. We're a better secondary than the Philly secondary. That's not a debate. We're better at the secondary spot. That's a fact. We could debate a lot of stuff. I'm not really getting into debating each thing, but I love where we're at in the secondary. The one weakness, and I brought this up early on in the offseason, that might be a surprise cut based on who's going to play safety, is Malik Hooker. If you're trying to save some money. Now, I wouldn't do it, but he's played so up to now. Mm-hmm. He hasn't played great. He just hasn't. He's played okay.
Yep, I agree.
But, Malik Hooker, I mentioned that to Phil a while back. That could be a surprise cut if one of these young guys step up. And you can name any number. McQuamu, Nashawn Wright, Kelvin Joseph is going to start working in at safety. Dallas, they don't want to give up on their draft picks. So, you stay tuned for that. But
you got Phil, Diggs, of course.
The turnover trio, man. Yeah. That's what it's about. Turnover trio.
You got Diggs replacing Diggs last year. Oh, okay, he's in the same spot. Now you got, of course, Anthony Brown. The substitute right there is Stephon Gilmore, and whether you want to take away, he's older, he steps, he's still up there. He's definitely has film out there from last year. It's not like 2 years ago. 3 years ago he was this. No, he was up there for Defensive Player of the Year, just in his interceptions, and so when you look at that pairing, you're like, okay, so you have to have a number 3 that is going to be able to bring it as well, and you have Deron Bland, and with a guy like Eric Scott in the kind of like the wing. You wonder where you're going to have there. And, of course, Jordan Lewis, what's going to happen with him. But I trust Jordan Lewis, if he was healthy, to be able to come in here and be that slot receiver as well. And Bland moving to the outside. So there's a lot of combinations that this secondary can do that we haven't been able to do in previous years.
Yeah, I would not get rid of Jordan Lewis. I know I said he was a cut candidate. We both said, just based on, we're all looking at overthecap.com. We see they could save almost $5 million by getting rid of him. And you saw what happened last year when halfway through the year we were decimated in the secondary. Unless you need that money to do a contract, which I highly doubt that you need his.
Ole Slay. Get out of here with that, man. That's funny. You don't even have a real name on there. But anyways, I mean, it's a different. Where do you attack on third down? Who's that guy? You bring your 4th receiver in. Now you're bringing that other guy, maybe like Eric Scott. Like this is what we're talking about. These guys that might be tested early, so we can see what we have with them. But you're definitely
don't get rid of Jordan if you don't need to. Don't get rid of him. Keep him. He's a ball hawk too. You can never have too many of those guys. That's to me, I always equate a defensive back like offensive tackle. There's only so many offensive tackles. That's why you see teams keeping all their tackles. You don't normally see them bringing in offensive tackles in the middle of the year. you'll go heavy on offensive tackle and go later on linebacker and such. But DB on defense is like that. You need them all, man. It's it's the hardest position, I would say, on defense. And just like, to me, offensive tackle on offense, it's hard to stay with these wide receivers. That's why, man, I'm really excited about our pass rush this year. I think it'll be better than the Eagles' pass rush. Now, Hassan Reddick had a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he didn't, but are you going to tell me that Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham are better than D. Law and Micah Parsons and Sam Williams? And it goes on and on. I can't even, I don't have Dallas's roster in front of me, but good luck. And then the D line.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna go up on here because you have a lot of Eagle fans talking in the chat, which is definitely have the you can feel good. But when you look at all those guys like Bradbury, definitely since the Giants game, you've been seeing him just get blown by Cowboys. It's not this difference with Ole Slay. They go by him quite a bit. Dak destroys your secondary. And you're just like, yeah, let's go ahead and just lock these guys up. Like, so to me, it's just you, of course, with the bias of the Eagles, of course you feel that, it's a great defense. But when you look at what we've been able to do against you offensively, yeah, there might be some things, okay? Eagles offensive line, definitely better. But when you look at your tight end room, your one tight end is great. We all know that. But you don't have any depth behind it. And where ours can kind of rotate in and actually help each other and help this offensive line. So there's a lot of stuff that we have that you don't. So you're sitting there, well, this is better, that's better. Do we work together? Do these two go together to be a better offense? And I think when you're talking about the Cowboys being better from last year, the wide receivers are definitely a lot better. And as a wide receiving game, that's a big thing. If you can bring that type of level where you don't know who you're going to cover, I mean, right, that's going to change some things on the secondary. And you guys, again, we try to give you credit, but you give no credit in return. So you want it all, but you don't want to give anything. And it's just more of a smoke and mirrors for yourself that you can believe that. We see the stats. We see it. We give you credit. But again, nope. No credit on that side. No credit at all.
They don't want to give us credit, right? Kill it off field. Give us credit.
I mean, that's why I'm saying I take what you're saying. When it comes to it, everything about it. Oh, your seating in our stadium is better, and
no, it ain't. No, it ain't.
Man, come on, man.
I went to my doctor. He's a season ticket holder. He's got great CC. He says I hate the link. If you ever been to the link, Phil, you're cordoned off. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, I give you credit in some of those things, but we have our weapons. We destroy you. Yes, you got there, but you didn't face us to get there. So I mean, you lost. So whether you want to give your participation trophy and just wave it all around, that's your deal. But that's not how we don't like to look at those Super Bowl losses against Pittsburgh.
I don't even remember.
Remember those, the Colts and stuff like that stuff.
Man.
That's stuff we don't like to look at, but you guys are waving it around all excitedly, and go ahead. But that doesn't mean anything. You still, Jalen has just as much Super Bowl wins as Dak Prescott. So, he does have an appearance.
None of us want to remember our losses. We just don't.
But I mean, you're going to have stats. You're going to have stats to prove that your guy's good, but then we have stats to say you face nobody going into the playoffs. So I mean, there's back and forth. It can go on forever. But we'll see how this season comes up because, we're not talking about the Giants. We're not talking about Washington. And those teams are going to get better. I mean, Brian's giving them a little bit of credit. I mean, he's got the Giants beating us on opening game.
I always give him credit. I live here. And Twiz says you have a better stadium as far as looks, but we have a better fan base. I would say I've been inside both stadiums.
I give you a fan that you're more loyal, but that's
live crowd, more nuts live crowd. But I haven't been to the new stadium. That's a lie. I've been to the old Texas stadium, and it was literally like, they were way too polite. So, for my liking. But but I live here, so,
No, and so
you see OFPMODKFM.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of random stuff. Just that's what I was saying. They don't have any real name. Have they earned credit? I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're not the ones that give them credit. You're jumping us with the media and how they like to jump on. They like to predict that we're not going to be good, but then they predict us to be there every single year. So they counter themselves. So don't put us in that category. Well, if you saw this last year, we did not predict them to go to the Super Bowl. We predicted them to go to the playoffs, win a game, and then that was it.
Sketch City.
Exactly what we said would happen.
Games anyway.
Yeah, exactly what we said. And so this year, I predicted they're going to be better. I can't tell you that. Dak has never done it.
Be better.
You know what?
It may be the same record, be based on schedule, but they're going to be a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. It's going to come down to health. And OFPMO, however you want to say that.
I'm not bragging about any.
Also made it
dude,
further.
At what point have I bragged about Dak's regular season stats? What are you talking about? You make it up in your head.
We've never done it.
We've never done this.
I've never brought up a regular season stat, only to compare Dak's runner-up MVP season that dwarfed Jalen's. The only thing that didn't. So you guys are getting confused with individual and team success. You could have individual success and be on a horrible team. Come on, Dan Marino did it.
Barry
forever,
Sanders,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there you go, Barry Sanders. It's well known that I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, that if I'm drafting running backs, Barry Sanders is ahead of Emmett. It's just based on talent alone. He was a rare talent. That doesn't mean I don't love Emmett. That just means this dude, just like, I got news for you, Saquon Barkley is a better talent than Zeke Elliott. He can't stay healthy, but he is.
Yep.
So, it's just, it's very interesting. And this chat is helping out our stream because...
oh, no, that's okay. You're more than welcome to bring it, and that's okay. We are fine with it, and that's what makes this rivalry great.
Fine. We're having a discussion.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. Trust me, man. Bring it. Man. You have your ammo, and I give you that. I will definitely give you that.
This is what makes it fun. If we all were just nicey nice all the time,
yeah, it wouldn't be
who
anything.
the hell wants to sit and watch that? I just want you guys to show Dak a little bit of respect. That's all. Jalen had all of his success in 1 year. Are you guys not able to see that?
So we understand that.
And I'm not hammering Jalen. Yeah. I'm responding to what you guys. So.
No, I mean, let's go back to the secondary. As we were talking about the secondary, we talked about the first game again. We will bring it up. The first game out of the playoffs where we got eliminated by San Francisco,
Oh, shots fired, Mark Hutchin. Eagles will go 9-8 in 2023.
Wow.
I ain't saying it's going to be that bad, but Mark, if they don't get out to a 5-0, 5-1 start.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, we beat you 8-3. Yes, we bring them up. But the thing about it is, what have you beat us in the playoffs? What have you beat us in the playoffs with Jalen and all that what you want to talk about? You haven't. So don't turn around and say that doesn't matter. We're comparing that because that's the only thing that they have to compare it. It's like saying, well, they played tic-tac-toe. Well, guess what? That's the only thing that we can compare that they were beating each other. They have not played each other in the playoffs. So until we see that, we have nothing to go off of. So all we can do is go off of the 2 games that we go off of each year. What am I supposed to do? Ignore that and go, well, the playoffs and victories? No, man. When we go head to head, I don't fear you. Yes, you can beat us on any given Sunday. Everybody knows that, but I don't fear you. And as much as you talk, you're not going to convince me somehow to become fearful of your team. So until Dak gets eliminated 40 points every single time, I'm not going to fear you.
Yeah, Dak I mean, listen, I ain't going to sit here and say that Dak hasn't struggled against the Niners, because he has.
Yes.
But against the Eagles, nah, he hasn't struggled against the Eagles.
So that's what I'm saying. I get it.
He loves seeing that Eagle green. He loves seeing the midnight
changing
green.
A narrative. What are you talking about? I'm explaining the narrative.
The Kelly green will get him, because that is a fire jersey. But maybe that'll get him.
There is no change in the narrative or anything. We're explaining to you because you're talking about that. Funny. Why do we do it? But I mean, that's what I'm saying. When we're talking about this secondary,
your opinion.
When we're talking about the other guys, because we got to talk about the other teams in this division. I mean, we're talking about the Giants. Both teams. Are we fearful of Daniel Jones? And he got a big contract. That means that he's got to be that guy going forward. I know you give him a little bit more credit than most people.
I was talking to Pizzle. Excuse me. I was talking to Pizzle, and I had told him that I'm going to the game opening night game at MetLife, and he, you know, he is a very knowledgeable Giants fan, and he's a big Danny Dimes guy. And I told him I really want to see Daniel Jones and how he's going to look under this offensive line, because they went and drafted a Phil's guy who I was high on, but Phil really wanted John Michael Schmitz in a Cowboy uniform, just because of his versatility. He can play guard, but he's a walking Pro Bowler. That'll be interesting, to watch, because I thought the same thing about Will Hernandez a few years ago.
God, I
and
could not stand him.
He didn't work out. What's that?
I couldn't stand Will Hernandez. Just all those fights, and he was constantly doing stuff on the field, not really getting any blame for it.
Yeah. Well, college, he got a lot of hype, but I want to see Danny Dimes with a good offensive line, and I think this year and going forward, and I made a video about it. I think the Eagles are going to be
they got good weapons
about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to be concerned about the Eagles, and the Giants are going to be like, "Hey, F you guys," and they're going to just go right by us. I'm not saying this year.
No, I mean they definitely have the formula for it. I mean they've built their offensive line, which we've definitely agreed on. Their tackles are amazing. We'll see if Cross kind of develops more into a better guard in that sense. But
well, they got Evan Neal, they got Thomas, and now they got John Michael Schmitz. If John Michael Schmitz, who you think he is. We're in trouble. I mean, not we're in trouble, maybe. But Ultra Cowboy says Slay 32, Fletcher Cox 33, Brandon Graham 36 years old. Oh, absolutely. So I'm telling you now, and the Eagles are going to go as far as
we're not saying that they're not good.
Round picks this year.
Good. They're
if
good.
They don't work out,
they're just not.
Ouch. Nolan. Yeah, Nolan at 30 or 30? Yeah, 31. That's right. You lost. That's right. You don't have the 32 pick. You had the 31 pick. I forgot. Just kidding. But yeah, so Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. So
and good picks. I mean, we'll see.
The future don't look great.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they're going to be potential
change like
good.
that is what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got to give them credit in the sense of that first round picks. When they trade out, they trade back a couple. They pick up another one for first next year. I'm like, shit, I wish they could do
good
that.
At trading. And
I'm like, God.
He reminds me of Jimmy Johnson in that respect.
Yeah. So I give him credit
good in that respect. We have to give him credit. Now, here we go. I'm going to get in trouble. Oh, you're giving Eagles too much credit. Howie Roseman isn't good at drafting. I'm going to tell you right now. He ain't good at drafting, but he's good at wheeling and dealing and trading for established players. We'll see about Carter. Jordan Davis is a big question mark right now. There's a lot of upside. He couldn't stay on the field. You know what I mean, Phil? So, we shall see. D-Law got 3 sacks on Neal. Alabama, usually don't pan out. Not high on Evan Neal. Well, he's already played better, though, Ultra.
Let's be real, though. Like,
I'm just saying.
You're saying
Danny Jones had no O-line. You know what I mean?
That's the guy that to me is the most disappointment. I still got to give D-Law his credit because he can all of a sudden whip it on and be that guy. But I don't look at him as that dude every single game. He has the ability to kind of wake up and be that guy, and you're hoping that he can. But I don't rest anything on him. I look at more of Sam Williams and all these guys that I'm hoping one of those guys are going to be that opposite of Parsons. And Glimmerman said this before, and I agree with him. If you leave him in the same spot the whole year, he's going to get banged up, and so you got to move Parsons around. So you're going to get a lot of rotations in that defensive end position. It's just who's going to be that guy that steps up this year, So that's going to be my curiosity.
Quiz says in the first round he's been good lately. Where are you getting this from? Game time. Well, lately meaning when? Okay. So, Jordan Davis. That's still a question mark. I would say that the trade that you got the receiver out of Alabama, where they traded with the Cowboys to jump over the Giants. I agree, but I'm not talking at the top of the draft. I'm already on record in saying that I had Jalen Carter as my number 1 rated talent in the draft over the quarterbacks. I loved his talent until you dig into the player and you realize that dude has a lot of growing up to do. Will he grow up? We hope. Will he be an Albert Hainsworth? Possibly. Will he be a Reggie White? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just telling you why he slipped to 10. But I would have taken him. Your 31 pick.
See, Twiz, if I got to give you...
He's kind of a light guy. He's a situational guy on a great team. You got to be careful. Like,
You're not gonna get this. You're not gonna get this out of me, Twiz. It's funny. I mean, I give you. I mean, you're coming up different ones. But again, if we were playing the 4th, 5th string quarterback, how would that have been? A freak accident happens to Brock Purdy that lit up the NFL, and you got to play him for like what, a half a quarter.
Got lit up by Hassan Reddick,
and so it's just
story.
So yeah, I mean, like You don't put the whole context in there, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you beat that team, and that's the team we're struggling with. Congratulations!
Listen, guys, are we ready for football or what?
Oh yeah, I like it. You can smell the rivalry already in the air. It's going to be a great season.
I love it. It really is.
And I think both teams are going to be really good. And you're right. I think the Giants definitely could be one of those teams that surprise you. I think they could have been better. Again, they did better last year.
I think they'll win 10 games. Book it now.
Washington. Yeah, that's the team that eventually here in the next 2-3 years I think are going to be something because of the new ownership. It's just I don't really look at them. I mean, they can definitely hit you and knock your little playoff. Whether you're in first or second or something, so they can kind of ruin your day. They're rivals, and so you're going to have to figure out what's going on with them. And you're going to hear, of course, Washington fans talk because. They definitely talk a lot during the beginning of the season. I know that. You got Rio, for example. He's definitely behind his whole thing, and so you'll hear. I have friends that are Washington fans as well too. They don't want to hold on to the new Commander thing, which we've talked about. They might have to change their name again, right?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be the Commanders for very long. That was a horrible name anyway, but whatever. Who cares what they're called? The bottom line is. I think that just looking at their schedule, which I was really surprised to see, I think they're up and coming, but I think they take a step back from last year. They should have made the playoffs last year. I told you that. They absolutely should have made the playoffs if they played Eyebrows, Taylor Heineke. If they would have played him, they are in the playoffs. But instead, they played Carson Wentz the last game, and he played like dog meat, and they didn't make it in.
So
he should have had 4 straight teams.
Yeah, that to me is still funny when I look back.
Ooh, this is gonna sting when we bring this up.
But when I was I had a focus. Now I want to know what Ultra Cowboy said. So go ahead.
Ultra Cowboy, how we chose to draft Rager over Jefferson. We all know how that worked out. Jalen Rager over Justin Jefferson's ass. Yeah, Cowboys have Amari Cooper and Gallup, but we don't need a receiver. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Philly 500.
One thing
he chose to draft a 2-down linebacker over Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, Ultra Cowboy spits the knowledge, and he knows how to hit low. I wanted to get to where is he here? I wanted to get to let's see here. Mark Hudson. We have a great. I don't know where it went. I don't know. My chat's acting weird.
That's true.
It's
going to be some really good divisional games. I definitely agree. Yeah. Now, one thing that I wanted to bring up, I don't know if we talked about it in the game or me and you were talking about it during the week, but I think we did bring it up. The kicker whole thing. You got a USFL guy being. And this is what I was talking about. This is the one thing going into this training camp that I do not like is we got one guy going in there, one lonely dude. One is the loneliest number. No, man, it's just we needed some competition there. And we don't need competition in the sense of I just need a body in there to kind of. No, I want somebody that's going to push. Same thing as the quarterback. I mean, yeah, I'm a Dak somewhat fan. I don't want to say that I'm 100% behind him because I can point out his mistakes as well. But I love him being our quarterback. But we need a backup that can push him as well, and that's what you don't have in a Cooper Rush. So I mean. Yeah, well, the media is going to do this. I don't care. I want somebody to push him. I want the competition to make you better, and that's what I wanted going into it with the kicker. It's just, I don't want just one lonely kicker going in there. I want some competition. I want a guy with a resume that you can look back at his body of work and not some guy that just was, bagging stuff at Publix or something like that. So I mean, what do you think about this kicker being signed? I'm pretty sure you haven't done any research on him.
I have
Oh,
done
you
research
did?
now that you brought it up. Brandon Aubrey from the USFL, Birmingham Stallions. He was a 4-year starter at the University of Notre Dame. He actually was drafted by the Toronto FC as a defender in soccer. He did make 14 out of 15
I like the soccer
field goals
background.
Yes, I know. That's why I brought it up for you. He did make 14 out of 15 field goals and went 100% for point after attempts for the Birmingham Stallions. Now, that's not the end-all, be-all, but it is competition for our current only kicker, Tristan Vizcaino. Right now, Crosby, Gold, and Brett Maher are on the background. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it. Maher, I loved Maher up until he started seeing ghosts and he turned into Ray Finkel.
Oh my God,
Laces out.
That is still like, yeah. When I look back at that game, I'm like,
laces out.
Oh my God, yeah. Die, Dan, die.
What do you know? Little footballs. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, I'm fine with it. Whether that's going to be ultimately, I think, you can always go out and get a Mason Crosby if you have to. He's going on 40, if not 40. He'll be serviceable, but you know how that goes. But Ultra Cowboy says Brandon Aubrey was pretty good the last 2 years. We'll see how he is in the NFL. You see what the NFL can do to some kickers, even the best of the best. You remember we had, what's his name, who was here for years and years? Help me out. His mother was always in the stands, and then he was let go because he missed a few. I can't think of his name right now. Help me out.
Man, we've had so many of those. There's Vanderjack. There's so many of those.
After Vanderjack, it was.
I mean, even recent, I remember seeing Nick Foles come in here and do his thing, and then like Nick Foles. Nick Foles. Nick Folk. That's what it is.
Nicky Foles. Yeah.
Then he went to the Patriots, and he was something over there. Yeah. So it's just like I've seen a lot of guys. Vanderjack, I think it was always that one that ruined it for me. I would never get excited about a kicker coming in. Like there could be some guys that make me comfortable, but we've seen this thing go south very quickly. Money Maher became very bankrupt very quickly at the end of the season.
Who am I thinking of, people? I was thinking of he set the Cowboy record in field goal before Maher did it. Come on, man, you guys are smart.
I can't even think right now that.
Yeah, it was just a few years ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Philadelphia Primetime, you're not going to answer the question.
What's up? What's the question? And honestly, answer this question. Would you rather go? Hold on. Would you rather go to 2 Super Bowls and lose one? And last 5 years, and I mean, I get you, and I think that's why.
What you're saying. That's why get to the game.
That's why GameTime said that.
When I lose,
that's why GameTime said it. I mean, he would rather, when he pushes all those rivalry aside, it's going to be about who's stronger going into the playoffs. We've seen it. I mean, both teams can go into the playoffs with the regular same record, but you can see one is at a higher intensity than the other, or one's going to have a bite. So. I totally get it. And I mean, who wouldn't want to be at Super Bowl appearances? But then again, who would want more Super Bowl appearances and more Super Bowls? Me. So I don't count just the 5 past years. I count the whole history, and I want that. So I love it. I love it. But I still want my history past 3 years or 4 years ago. I take that. So yes, the VHS, all that stuff. You want to bring that up? It's still, man, in the Super Bowl era when it really counts.
You went to 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
Okay, in the last 5 years? He's saying. I think it's 6 years, but whatever. 5 years. It was 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 2017 year. So, here's the deal. You went to a Super Bowl that year and you won it, and it's an unbelievable success because you were a wild card team who benched your quarterback because he got injured, and Nicky Foles got hot on a hot team. You guys were a wild card team who got hot and won it all. It wasn't Jalen Hurts. So that's all we're talking about is Jalen Hurts did not win a big game. He won 2 playoff games on a hot team this year, and he's got a lot to live up to this upcoming year. I think Jalen Hurts is set up good, Philadelphia. He's got a really, really good offensive line, probably the best in the league. Year older, and I'm telling you, NFL years, and Phil can tell you, Phil played college football. He will tell you, football years is like dog years, man. Who knows how Brandon Graham's going to come back at his age? Who knows how Fletcher Cox is going to come back at his age? Who knows? I love Jason Kelsey, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's where I work. That's where and that's the same thing. I mean, we talk about that with your guys, but we talk about the same thing with ours. We got Tyron Smith.
That's all.
Every single year we're having to worry about. We don't like it. I mean, we had to pick up Peters in order to counter what Tyron Smith was doing. We got a young guy there. Zach Martin, he ain't getting any younger. He plays at an all-pro level, and he's amazing. Right. But it doesn't mean that we don't counter what he's, every single year that goes by, and we don't have that offensive line to go with it. It makes us worry. So, I mean, they're definitely getting up there in the years. We've had, Lane Johnson, he had that, he was a badass last year in the sense of kept playing, maybe shortens his career by doing it, but he's
another
amazing.
Badass.
But yeah, but a lot of that, I got to give them credit. They're very good, but they're great at double teaming. And yeah, I mean, you're knocking people off their ass, but I don't take anything to it when guys in a block and you're coming in and smacking him off his ass. Oh, congratulations. You hit him at his blind side. I don't see a whole lot of one-on-one battles that you guys are winning that it's on the all-pro level and on the highlights. So, that's kind of where you see. I mean, I'm not saying that we have it all the time, but there's definitely a lot of guys on our offensive line that can hold their own. But we're not seeing all those double teams all the time. It's just a different running scheme. So that's where you can compare these guys. But our offense, as much as they want to talk about it being needs to be a better running game. I mean, do we have a better running back tandem back there? I mean, Zeke last year. I mean, he looked pretty bad, didn't he? So, I mean, you got to say Deuce Vaughn is definitely a step up. Now, is he the same type of runner? No. I think Glimmerman and them will definitely tell you we need a better power back. Robert Jones is definitely not going to be that guy. But, I mean, he could surprise. I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowl appearances and victories, and he's still got a lot of fresh legs. So,
yeah, I might have been mistaken, Philadelphia. I thought they were a wild card back in 2017. But regardless, they rode a hot. It really doesn't really mean much as far as that's concerned. They rode a hot backup QB who fit in that great read option system. That's all I meant. If I was mistaken by that.
But that's the thing about it is you talk about when you talk about ours, you want to give yourself 2 Super Bowls. No, you have 1 Super Bowl, past 5 years. Good, you've been there, yeah. Congratulations, but still. Doesn't mean anything. You don't get a participation trophy. It doesn't count like that. You can put the banner up there and the thing that you guys are the conference champion. That don't mean anything. Nobody follows that. Oh, maybe some bragging rights in the sense of the numbers, but when it comes down to it, you guys are waving your banner like you guys won it all. And be proud of your team. Oh, my team is possibly going to be really good going forward. Definitely, but don't rub it in other people's faces that you guys have a loss. That's why the NFL kind of laughs about it. But again, you guys have been there. We would love to be there. And Bryan has said it many times.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be happy, though, if we don't win and look back and go, well, at least we got there in the list, too. And Eagles have it. I'm not going to say that. If we get there and lose, man, it's going to be very disappointing. It's very hard to get there, Yeah, and older Cowboys and Eagles love their participation trophies. Listen, man. They are dealing with more success recently than we have. So I just want the Eagles fans to put themselves in Cowboy. I know this is a stretch. Put yourselves in our shoes, right? We had a lot of success in the 90s. But yet we won every time we made it to the Super Bowl. Could you imagine if you guys made it 3 out of 4 years and won every time? Of course you would have an attitude. I'm not going to recall in the 70s because I don't remember us winning against Denver or Miami I don't remember that. I remember losing 2 in Pittsburgh, and I know you guys have heard the story. That was my childhood. I remember you losing back-to-back years to the Steelers, going through my whole adolescent life until I was to my late teens, early 20s when we started winning in the 90s. So I paid my dues at that time. Now the Eagles have had more recent success that they have, man.
And if they don't do anything for the next 10, 20 years, they're going to ride that. They're still going to ride it. So you guys are going to you talk about it, but
Phil, could you imagine if they won it last year, then won it again this year, and then wow, okay, then you could see how other teams hate the Cowboys. Like probably they're going to hate the Eagles if that were to happen. If the Eagles run off 2 Super Bowls in a row and won 3 out of the last 8, and they go on a run, then they're going to hate you just as much as they hate the Cowboys. That's just a fact. That's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's what the Chiefs are getting to right now. I mean, Patriots. How many people with the Patriots?
There's no shame in losing to the Chiefs, but you lost.
Yeah, and you can't blame it. Yeah, the field was all. Well, yeah.
I just want to get to one more thing before we leave our live stream today. What time we got? Okay, so we're
right on there. We're right on there.
Yeah. I want to touch on one thing. This isn't Eagle related. I did tell Phil. I said, can't, there's not much to talk about, but I did see where T.O. it came out and made a statement. T.O. said,
"Get your popcorn ready."
Yeah, get your popcorn ready. T.O. made a statement. How about that? I've been saying this for a while, and I'm not here to downplay John Lynch. I'm not. But T.O. said Darren Woodson, he should be in the Hall of Fame before John Lynch. That's coming from ex-Eagle, ex-Cowboy, ex-Niner, T.O. We all know he's crazy. But Darren Woodson, really, he's going to make it into the Hall of Fame. But he should be in the Hall of Fame by now. He should have been there before John Lynch. He was the quarterback of that defense, Phil. He played in 178 games in his 11-year career. He started 162 games out of those 178. So that means his first year as a rookie, he didn't start for the whole season, but in the playoffs he did. He had 23 career INTs, 2 for TDs, 12 forced fumbles. But he was, and you ask anybody on that defense, he was the rock. He was the quarterback of that defense. T.O. came out and said it. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Darren Woodson, don't know why you're not. He should be in the Hall of Fame, man. That's just crazy that he's still not in there. Your thoughts, Phil?
I am a big Darren Woodson fan. I when I think back to Darren Woodson, I remember him carrying the flag out. He was that guy on our defense. Played linebacker before any of our guys now, Roy Williams, any of that guys that came in and started laying the wood on people. You had Woody back there. I mean, he was leading a defense. He had to come in as a young guy, and really that he was kind of thrust into that Super Bowl lineup. And he had some guys that were mixed in there, James Washington and stuff. Another guy that's not really talked about too much in the sense of the, interceptions and what he was able to do once he came away from the Colts. So I mean, there's a lot within that defense. And Deion Sanders, of course, Kevin Smith, but Darren, I mean, he was doing stuff up there in the line of scrimmage as well, taking away tight ends that were
quarterback, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of tight ends back then.
The green dot,
Yes, I agree. So I definitely agree. I weigh on the sense of whether it's before somebody and everything. I totally understand. There's a lot on the resume of Darren Woodson to say that he belongs before John Lynch. I think John Lynch has been able to do stuff outside of just his playing football days as well that kind of add to the accomplishments, what he's been able to do as a GM. So I think that, if you're honoring that as well, I think that's why you kind of give it more maybe to John. But it's hard to say why Darren Woodson's not in it. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that kind of keep just getting, short-ended for a while there. Our Drew Pearson was that guy. He couldn't get in for anything, no matter how many times it went by. And you just kind of kept getting, it was very emotional by the time he did get in. So I'm definitely with you. I'm getting on a little bit of a rant. But
No. That's why
but
we're
Darren
here,
Woodson
man.
definitely brought a culture to our defense. So yeah, I mean, if you can put him in the Ring of Honor, I think you can put him up there as well too.
Yeah, and speaking of the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame game is less than a month away, August 3rd. I'm going to the Hall of Fame of Mark Holmes this year, so look forward to all the content. It should be fun. We're going to induct two of our own, Chuck Halley and DeMarcus Ware. It really should be fun. I'm going to bring a lot of content. You're welcome to go, Phil, but I know you're a busy man. A
little bit longer.
Does Phil want to go? I'm like, Phil's got vacations planned. I don't think he can get off, but you're welcome to go, my man. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really, I'm looking forward to that. Football is almost here, people.
Yeah, the camps are right there by the end of this month. Yeah.
But the camp is where it's at. I just want to stay healthy. I know we're all Eagles fans, Cowboys fans. We're all like kind of holding our breath about just to stay healthy in the preseason.
Yeah. I hope everybody does stay
healthy. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want us to be at full strength. I don't want there to be, it was our backup, all that stuff. I mean, yeah, you got to face who you are. The records are who it is. The same way. I mean, you beat our backup, and we can say that as well. But they still beat us. I mean, we were very close to getting you at the end with that backup. So I mean, to me, it counts. I mean, it's part of our team. So I mean, if I'm gonna, yeah, that's why it's just like they're quick to jump on that. But yeah, man, you beat our backup, which. That's, again, why we were talking about Cooper Rush shouldn't be that guy. He just doesn't bring that dynamics. He's definitely good in the clutch and it's good, can hold down the fort, but I don't think he's your dynasty quarterback. And I think when they allowed him to hit that free agency and nobody really picked him up, I think the rest of the NFL showed you as well that they didn't believe that he could be that as well. I mean, the Giants knew what he
Cowboy
was.
Mafia.
What's going on?
Birds will never be a dynasty. 100%.
and I get it as well when you talk about every single year Cowboy fans are like we're this is our year. Well, guess what, man, it's America's team, and I know you don't like to hear it, but we're very spread out, and there's going to be always a small percentage of your team saying it's your year. It's just that our fan base is bigger, so of course it seems like a lot more say that, but that's not it. I mean, when you got some real you've got some guys that really follow it and they know what their guys are capable. I know what this team is capable of doing. It's just they got to go out there and actually do it. That don't mean shit, all on the paper. You got to go out there and play it. So that's why we're talking about it. I mean, this is the year that, there's been some guys in the chat that said the same thing. It's that there's no excuses this year. You even have depth on this line. And, now Mark McCarthy has his man Schottenheimer in there. You're talking about possibly they're on the hot seat right off the bat in year one. That's true. I mean, you're good. I like it in the sense of the situational football, what they bring. But again, it's going to be different. So I mean, can you expect the same high-powered offense? No. I mean, you can't because it's just a different roster. Do we have potential to be? Hell yeah. But that's where we focus on our defense. We can definitely see it in the defense. So. Sorry, a little bit of it there. But anything you want to...
Ultra Cowboys says... you have to hear this one.
Go ahead.
Ultra Cowboy says, the Eagles Super Bowl trophy case is the size of a porta potty. It's easy to dust off one. Listen, that's... I'll be honest, Ultra, I'm really tired. I didn't bring this up. I did bring it up on my video. Real quick, Phil, did you see where the Netflix... agreed to pay Jerry Jones $50 million for a 10-part series on the 90s dynasty? I don't know about you. If you guys watch my video, it got a lot of hits. I'm pretty tired of looking back at the 90s right now, Phil. Why are we worried about this? Win another one. Win another damn Super Bowl. Then we can reminisce about what we did 25 years ago.
Yeah, Minshew had 4 turnovers. I understand that. So your backup did worse against our defense than our. I get it. Yeah, your backup is worse than ours. So I mean, congratulations. But I get it. I mean, you guys needed to work on your backup. You got a new backup. It's not the same guy.
Again,
I thought Minshew was.
Who couldn't score a lot of points, but won games. He didn't lose the game for us. So it is what it is.
And I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to, this Hall of Fame game's coming around the corner. There's a lot of football to be it's a training camp. I mean, I want to see some people hit some bodies. You don't have that like they used to. That's why you see a lot of injuries. To me, but
definitely looking forward to that.
I just want to see somebody get, because we can talk about Mozzie Smith all he wants, but what happens when Zach Martin gets a hold of him? Can he do something there? Because
that's the thing I was trying to say. Not often. There's not a lot of Micah Parsons out there that can come in and do what he did. So, I don't know. I think the ratio of success with first-round picks is less than 50%. I'm not saying both of your picks aren't going to work out, Philly. All I'm saying is you can't expect Carter to come in and do what Hargrave did last year. You just can't. Ultimately, he may be better or as good. But this year, there's a lot of question marks. The talent is there. Will it actually show in the field? I'm just saying, just look and see how many rookies have done unbelievably. You saw Jordan Davis last year, okay? And Eagles gave up way more to draft Jordan Davis, multiple picks, than they did, just to sit and, stick and pick at number 10 and take Carter because of his off-the-field issues. So, I mean, we'll see, man. That's what's fun about the offseason. If everything works out for the Eagles like it did last year, they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm just telling you now. If every move that they make, works out.
Oh, okay, yeah. I get you. Yeah, but, I mean, I can see
there's no way that's going to happen in back-to-back years. It's not happening. So I'll stick to my guns on that one. So that's my opinion, right?
Yeah. But no, hey, Bryan, great broadcast. You definitely got into it in the sense of the rivalry. It's going to be there. It's going to be there through the year. And you hope that it does push up even a new level. That means both teams are doing well and that we have stuff to brag about. But these division games, like they said in the chat, I mean, these division games are going to be amazing this year. The teams are definitely getting better. We're not at NFC East. That's the least. We are beasts. We actually, give these teams problems.
I'm loving that Micah Parsons pick.
The AFC East is what some team we're going to go against. I mean, we're going to give them problems, and every single team has that chance of winning. And so I think, like last year, Bryan brings it up, all four teams had the chance of being into the playoffs. Of course, Washington did their goofball Washington stuff, and we didn't see that. But you definitely had the ability to do that. And you could see that this year as well, too. I mean, there's not very many teams in the NFC that are going to give this team. I mean, don't get me wrong. San Francisco's going to have its thing. They're still figuring out their quarterback thing. Minnesota, what's going on with Minnesota?
I'm calling it now.
I don't see it in Seattle. But I think that the team to beat is going to be obviously in our division. So, again, guys.
Eagles and Cowboys.
Talk in the chat. Let us know what you guys think. Definitely we bring on the trash talking as well. But we appreciate you guys coming through. I mean, it's not easy sometimes to be on that other one and go back and forth all the time. But we do appreciate that support. So I appreciate the like button. I appreciate sharings and everything. So, Bryan, I appreciate you coming through. I'll see you next Saturday until, of course, more football, man, until we can bring it up a little bit more and talk about more than just a rivalry.
Oh, me and Phil were talking about doing like live streaming games as well. We'll obviously coordinate that with Mark, but we got to start doing stuff on our own as well. Mm-hmm. But we could zoom in and out with him. That's not a problem. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this year, Phil. One more thing before I go. Mark Holmes, if you're still listening, you wanted to know input. I think you need to paint your fireplace mantles black to match the window molding. Okay, I just had to get that out because I keep forgetting.
Yeah, he's like, I can't sleep tonight, man. I can't sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Because otherwise.
Yeah. Black, baby. Paint them black. It looks good. Yes.
So we appreciate you guys coming through. We appreciate you guys commenting, liking, anything, hating. We appreciate it, man.
Bring the hate.
So, but one thing we appreciate you do the most is to not forget to ring that bell.
Ring that bell, man.
Damn
ring
right.
it.
Damn
ring
right.
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it eventually.
Hey, we know each other. He's a friend from work.
What you do? You're like a little screw loose type of guy, and that's how I am. So I'm digging it, big guy. I am.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
GameTime Bryan, otherwise known as the mailman here.
Cool name. Superpowers?
Broadcasting from the illustrious Jobu Studio.
Come on, are you gonna tell me who that is?
Primetime Phil, and of course my co-host, GameTime Bryan.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this place is going to explode. $100,000. I don't even need to hear it.